Welcome to Glitch Cube. We're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. I'm Christian.
I'm Chris.
And what's up, Cubies? We're here once again, another week down. And here we go. We're just going to roll right into this. But before we jump into today's episode, which I'm actually really excited about, it's a topic that I've had on my brain for quite a while. Let's hit that weekly update and see what we've been up to. So, why don't you start us off, Chris?
Honestly, like I've just been plugging away at Assassin's Creed Valhalla slowly. I think I'm finally hit the 40-hour mark,
Nice.
and I think I'm halfway through it. I mean, there's still like a ton of the map I haven't been to, but story-wise, I feel like I'm halfway to completion. It's it's still really like fun, like fast paced. Um the major story missions have great battle sieges, which is really cool. But the whole open world thing is starting to slowly get to me, finally. And I mean, I'm pretty sure once I hit these last couple areas, they're gonna be bigger, like bigger castles and stuff. So it'll be more interesting. But I think after playing 3 to 4 open world games in a row, I'm just getting burnt out. Because
Yeah.
before this, I did Days Gone. Before that, I played Immortals Phoenix Rising. Before that, I played Cyberpunk. So I'm like, I'm ready to beat this game and then just focus on something simple,
Right.
something dumb and easy. Uh, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, I've just been kind of eyeing picking up games. I just got in Ease 9, which
Nice.
I'm really excited for. I am really afraid to open this collector's edition because it's so beautiful. I
Mhm.
know these things shoot up in value like crazy, so I'm like, should I just sell this and get a regular or keep it? I'm probably just gonna end up keeping it because it's just so nice looking. But I'm I'm excited to play that. Like I love that series so much. Like the music is just amazing and the combat's fun. And aside from that, I think that's really all I've been playing. Like
Nice.
I just been trying to chug away at this.
Mhm.
What about you?
Well, for as far as playing, not so much this week. I've been really focusing on some of these drawing challenges, and I got a new one. I mentioned it in last week's episode, and I'll just let you guys know what's going on with it now. So this one, it's a little drawing challenge. It's called the World Building Challenge, and it's super, super fun. I like the way that it's actually laid out because it's less daunting of a task than some of these other one-a-day drawing challenges. The guy, the way he set it up, it's, Matt Dye Draws, and it's Matt and then Dye, D-Y-E, and Draws, yeah.
Mhm.
So he set it up where it's a 4-week challenge, and he actually worded it where you can just pick whatever 4 weeks you wanna do it. He just happened to be
Huh.
doing it in February, so I figured I'll join in with him and kind of go along, and we post same day, same day, right? Um, but what's really cool about it too is the fact that he also set it up where it's 5 drawings a week. You can do more if you want and draw every single day, which I plan on doing just to kind of go the extra little bit because I really want to flesh out the idea that I'm working on. And I felt like this is a fantastic little opportunity for me, at least, to start fleshing out a world that I've been kind of creating. And we've talked about this world before, like before we even started making this podcast.
Mhm.
It's a game idea that I've had for quite a while that I'm actually super jazzed to finally see some like actual character art come from it and kind of flesh out the world and start really thinking about the little details like what kind of village does the main character live in? Is it a farming village? Is it a hunting gathering village? How does the player interact with just nature around them in general? Because it's a very spiritual game in a sense, and or at least the concept and what I want to build is kind of more of a spiritual idea where
Mhm.
it's you finding yourself and your own true strength within you, which is really exciting for me at least. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, check out Matt Dye Draws, and once again that's MattDyeDraws. for a post on his because he's the actual creator of World Building Challenge, which is a fantastic little challenge once again. And if you want to see the artwork I'm working on, you can follow me on Instagram at Kieran, and that's Keuran. And I've been really diligent about posting once a day, especially after that Monstanuary challenge that I just finished up. I have seen the importance of drawing every day, and I feel like it's really helped me out. I kind of fell into a rut there for a while where I wasn't drawing as much as I wanted to, and I didn't see my work progressing. And with everything, practice makes perfect, and the more you do something, the better you get at it. And it's just like that. What's that concept? The mastery concept where it's 10,000 hours until you become a master at something.
Mhm.
Really, a lot of people always ask, like, oh, what materials are you using? Or like, how do I get good at this? Or how do I draw faster so I can get things done quicker? It's not about drawing faster, it's just about putting in the time and the effort. The artists that you guys like out there, you have no idea how much time they've dumped into this, and just to expand their craft and test out new mediums and new materials, and that's the important part. So that's what I'm really getting from this right now is being able to push myself to continue drawing something every day and try and release a product that I'm actually really proud of. And that the added challenge of that is that I'm making these things in one day still. So it's tricky, but it's really interesting, and I feel like it's kind of setting me up for a more like crunch time environment. Because still my ultimate goal is to work for a gaming company, and crunch time is huge. So if I can work under pressure and get things done really quickly and find like little workarounds in that sense, then I feel like I'll be having a little bit of a leg up with the competition. So that's the ultimate goal for these guys. But really that's my been my primary focus for not just the week, but really like the last month, to just really better my skills and just hone my craft even more.
That's good. That's good to push yourself like that. That's a good point about the crunch, like trying to get used to it, like in case it ever happens. Like that's smart.
Yeah. And
I'm
yeah.
really excited also for that game that well, like everything you're building around it, like the all of that. Like I remember when you were first telling me about it and I was like, I want to play this, when
Yeah.
it's done one day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can kind of talk about the core of the game because the post is going to be coming out today as we're recording.
Mhm.
But the main mechanic of it is you put on these various different masks, and the masks that what they do is they personify different human traits or personalities or things like that, right? So there's a mask that personifies the idea of strength. There's one that personifies the idea of wit, and then right? So, like, there's little things like that, and they're personified by using animals to create these certain types of masks, and each one has its own specific ability attached to it. Now, the main drawback to using these abilities is that if you get stuck using them or you rely on them too much, they will have a negative effect against you in the long run. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to balance out using these awesome abilities with just relying on your own true self and your own abilities as a human, like as you, uh, to accomplish your goals. So that's where I'm working with, and that's what I'm trying to expand on. So, yeah, it's been really fun. Okay, so when this episode comes out, it's going to be February 8th, and we wanted to kind of take a look at the future and see what's coming up and kind of cater our episode towards what's going on in the world. And what's the big holiday coming up just a week later? Well, that's Valentine's Day. So we figured this would be a perfect opportunity to kind of go over some games that might be really good for couples. Because I know all of us gamers out there want to play games with our couples, with our significant others. And just sometimes it doesn't work out that way, right? Sometimes we aren't with someone that actually enjoys playing video games, like for me. But I've found some workarounds, and I would love to share some of these games with you. And I know that you have some really fun games on your list as well as for games to play with your significant other. So we both figured that this is a perfect opportunity to share those with you.
Yeah, and also, at least, like, a lot of the ones that I found, if, say, you don't have like, if you just have a friend to play it with, or even if you don't have a friend to play with it, trust me, a lot of times, there's a lot of these co-op games I can't even play with anybody, so I try to find ones that, you can still play by yourself too,
Smart.
and that they're good. Because I know there's a lot of co-op games out there that get kinda ruined if you try to do it by yourself.
Yeah. I think that's a good caveat too to say, like, yes, we're putting these under the umbrella of couples games because of Valentine's Day,
Mhm.
but these are just great co-op games in
Yeah.
general. So here we go. It's our co-op couple game list. Do you want to start us off and give us a game from your list made for
Yeah.
couples?
Um, I'm gonna go with, you know, this one is an obvious. This one I think you'll kind of see everywhere mentioned for it, but it really is good. Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time.
It's on every couple list.
It really is. And I mean, I played this a while back,
Mhm.
and I didn't even know about it when I played it. I was just introduced to it by my friend, and like his girlfriend, him, my girlfriend, me, like we all played it. And dude, it's crazy. Like it actually is fun. Like I usually question a lot of times these top lists, and I can see why everyone always says good things about this. Like it is frantic, it's fun, it's cool, and there's not really anything else out there that kind of resembles it, so it's kind of cool.
Mhm. I've never actually played it. So what's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish in it?
Basically, you're trying to like fly through a map, right? And it's like going through like different caverns or weird little obstacles, right? And you're in this little spaceship, and you don't need four people to play. It's just easier. I mean, you can play this game by yourself if you really want to punish yourself,
Mm,
but it's there's four different cockpits on this spaceship, right? One controls the directions, the other one controls the speed. I think if I remember, it's been a while since I played it. One of them I think controls like a weapon, and I think the other one is also like a booster or like for sharp angles.
okay.
And if you're playing just with someone else, like you have to basically it'd be smart if you took two positions, the other one took two and stuck to that. Otherwise, you're jumping around the different things, frantically freaking out, and then you're going to end up crashing into a wall.
Right.
But your goal is to make it through the end of these little mazes. And it gets crazy because you can take damage, you can get hit, and it's not an it's simple at first, but then it picks up and gets actually pretty difficult, especially if you're playing with less people.
Right.
But it's totally doable with two. I think it's still doable with one, but you're gonna overwork yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was curious about that game is that does it scale with the more players you have? Like if you're alone, will it give you less cockpits to make it more manageable or is it just the same game regardless?
It's the same game.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
So it's built for co-op play. Like it wants you to have more than one person playing with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
What about you? What's your pick?
Well, the first one I wanted to kind of go over is I would say Overcooked is a fantastic couple
Mhm.
game. And I that's also one that shows up on a lot of those lists out there. And it's just great. I mean, who doesn't love cooking with adorable characters in these crazy scenarios where like there's an earthquake that splits the level in half and you have to then throw items down to one another. You can curse at each other while sprinting by, right? Like it's just really fun and it's one of those games that really builds up on the idea of communication and talking to each other and creating a game plan to accomplish these goals. So I think that's what makes it really a fantastic game for couples in general is the idea that you guys can come together and do these things. And the amount of DLC and expansion packs and all that are coming out is just amazing. And just the sheer amount of like characters that you can unlock just make it really, really fun for everybody.
I really like those games too. I feel like I haven't gotten far in them just because it's usually a game that will like boot up, play like 2 or 3 maps, and then we get not overwhelmed, but we're just like, okay, like we get kind of stressed out by it because we're good at communicating, but we want to like almost like do the whole route on our own instead of trying to work together. So then like we get all frantic, and then
Mm,
before you know it, out of the 3 stars, we're barely getting like 1 star
yep.
rating. And it's a fun game. I think that because it's so different, like you don't really need to be a gamer to play it. Like it's something that you're both going to learn how to do,
Right.
because you're basically just grabbing whatever like veggie from the table or fruit or food in general to a stove, and it's very simple, but like you said, it's very frantic because oh my god, having to wash the dishes, put the dish back and all this, it's like it's never ending.
Yeah.
But it's good, it's fun. It's another one of those games that you don't really see like any clones out there for it either.
No, which I'm kind of surprised about because of how simple the concept is. Like there are other cooking games out there where it's like co-op cooking, but there's
Oh yeah,
nothing.
like Cook Serve Delicious is another
Yeah,
one too.
but there's nothing on the level of Overcooked.
Hmm.
Overcooked found like this weird niche, and like maybe it was just timing or just the production value or the simplistic mechanics where anybody can jump in, even non-gamers, and really enjoy and have like a positive experience playing these things. So
Hmm.
they did something really interesting with it where it's inviting for non-gamers. It's not intimidating, but it's still very challenging in that sense. Where even you mentioned like you play a lot of games. You're a gamer, but it's hard to get 3 stars sometimes whenever the communication breaks down. And I
Hmm.
played this with my girlfriend as well, and she really enjoyed the game too, but there were a lot of times where we didn't get the 3 stars and we are like, "Well, fuck."
Yep.
And we jump back into it and we start, like, creating a different game plan or a different flow where, like, we set up simple I'll set up simple stations for her and kinda guide her real quick, and then she goes into the rhythm and just she still has an enjoyable experience by creating that pacing for her. So it's really interesting to kinda see that where it's not a mechanic that's built into the game, but it's one that can be created through player interaction.
I think that's most of what it comes down to is the interaction that you have with your like whoever you're playing with.
Yeah. What's another one for you?
Ooh, my big list. So I'm gonna talk about one that a lot of people know, but I want to talk about something that kind of resembles it, but in a different way.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so kind of a bigger name game that I've really been into always for co-op. Portal. I
Mm, a
think,
classic, yeah.
yeah, it's weird. It's definitely been a game that I've kind of played with everybody. I mean, I've played it with my ex, I've played it with friends, I've played it with my wife. Like it's just it's it's good. It's the way the difficulty ramps throughout the game is just so perfect
Mhm.
that I love replaying it like every so often. I haven't played in a while, but there's just always something about it that's so good, and I always hunger for games like it. And I mean, if you're starting to see a trend in my choices of these co-op games, it's kind of more on the puzzle side.
Right.
If you want a cheap, fun little puzzle game that's co-op or by yourself, Death Squared. Uh,
Oh, yeah, that looked awesome.
I was able to get it, I think, on the Switch on sale for I forgot if it was 50 cents or a dollar, but
Oh, wow.
it goes down to cheap. Like if you're cool with digital, it goes down really really cheap. And it's fun. It's these little cubes, and you have to get them on 2 little end plates, right?
Mhm.
But in order to get to those plates, sometimes you have to stack on each other or do different elements, and it gets pretty difficult after a while. And there's a lot of levels, so you're not gonna finish right away. I personally haven't finished it, so I can't comment how long it takes, but we definitely, I think, threw in about 3 hours, and it was a lot of fun. It
Yeah.
it gets kind of difficult at times, and for the price point, like it's a fun little puzzle game. I think it's one that not many people know about, and if people do know about it, they're like, "Oh, it's one of the cheaper games," which is actually good.
Mhm. I mean, like, the aesthetic of it looks amazing. I've only watched, playthroughs of it, just,
Mhm.
like, some little things from, like, Stumped Gaming and things like that, so but they make it look really, really exciting and really interesting, and I love the different, puzzle mechanics that are built into it. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it is funny that you mentioned that, though, that a lot of these games on these lists do have more of a puzzle mechanic to them.
Yeah.
But I think that speaks more towards what is important when it comes to specifically couple gaming, and that has to be communication and problem solving. So I think that's the main focus for those kind of games. Now, the next game that I wanted to kind of talk about real quick would be actually Little Big Planet, which goes a little bit
Oh.
against the what we just mentioned with the communication, which is why I think it's interesting to bring this kind of a game up because it's a really fun and enjoyable experience to just run through and collect and just design your characters, design your home base real quick, like your space station, and then jump back into the world and just kind of run around like crazy people. And it's really fun for to play with other people. I've played it with my sisters. I've played it with my girlfriend. I played it with my nieces, my nephews, and it's just one of those games that is just always fun with other people involved. I don't know. What do you think?
I always, I've played one of the Little Big Planet games, but I liked it. Uh, but piggybacking off
Mhm.
that, I've been playing Sackboy's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like I at first was gonna just like play it with one of my friends, but then one day my mom was over and she was looking at it and she's like, I like that. So I've actually made that the game that I play with her.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And my mom doesn't play games. I mean, growing up, she would play like Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and stuff like that with me. But aside from that, like nothing too crazy.
Mhm.
But I mean, yeah, she has some difficulties with it because it is platforming. And I mean, 3D platforming games can be sometimes annoying to even me.
Yeah.
So for her, it's hard to like notice like where she might fall off and, little simple stuff, but it's understandable.
Mhm.
But aside from that, like we have a lot of fun with it. And I feel like though these kind of like little platformers like that are just good fun. You don't need to be a gamer to have fun with it. And it's just simple, cute. Like it's fun collecting stuff in the stages and you don't have to really communicate too often. It's more so just like, let's get through this together,
Mhm.
which I really like as well.
Yeah. See, that's fun. And to
Yeah.
kind of continue with this trend that we just set right now, a couple games that aren't dependent on just communication. One of them for me, it's a game that on the surface, I never thought of it as a couple game.
Mhm.
I thought about it as a single player game. The art style is what drew me to it originally, but that's Cuphead. Uh,
Mhm.
Cuphead is fantastic. I just love like, as an artist looking at this game, it just drew my eye right away. The fact that everything is hand drawn and it just has that wonderful aesthetic of old school cartoons and all that. I loved it. So my first instinct was, all right, I need to show my girl the trailer for this and hope that she's like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what I do every once in a while. I'll just kind of turn my laptop over to her and be like, hey, babe, and then I'll let a trailer play, and then if she looks away after, like, 10 seconds, I'm like, "Nope, next game."
Aw.
So but Cuphead really caught her eye, and she wanted to see more and more of it, And then I picked it up and I was like, "Hey, I bought this game. Why don't we try it out?" And she actually really fell in love with not just the aesthetic, but the game itself. She liked the challenge, which I thought was crazy because this game is hard as hell. And someone for her, like, she's not a gamer at all, and I've mentioned that earlier, but, like, when I say she's not a gamer, she's not a gamer. She hates them. She thinks they're like, she doesn't see a point to them, really.
Mhm.
And we could talk about opposites attract, right? But but this one, it was interesting because I mentioned this before with Overcooked, but being able to set the pace of gameplay myself to ensure that she's still having an enjoyable experience is really crucial to this game. And what's crazy is that, like, when you go into co-op for Cuphead, and some games do have this where it changes difficulty based on how many players are in the game,
Mhm.
and Cuphead is one of them where it increases the health of the bosses. So it actually becomes a harder experience to go through. But as a gamer, I'm able to kind of get through these stages. They're challenging and we're dying a lot, but we're able to get through them and make it so that she can still have fun playing these. And then I can scratch that itch of playing a really tricky, hard game and feeling that sense of accomplishment. And to really kind of put a nail in the coffin of like, this game's actually really great for couples to enjoy is the fact that she actually owns a Cuphead t shirt.
Hmm.
I don't own any gaming t-shirts. That's just me. I don't really like logos on my shirts. I just like plain t-shirts. And she actually has a Cuphead shirt. And she is Cuphead. Every time we play, she plays as Cuphead and I'm Mugman. It is what it is. And like she even like joked about getting me a Mugman shirt so that we can wear them together. Like
Oh god.
she really enjoys the aesthetic of this game, which is crazy because like I said, she's not a gamer, so it's super funny to see that, but I love it. I love how games that on the surface weren't don't appear to be geared towards couples can potentially bring in non-gamers and bring couples together through a challenging experience. So that to me was just awesome.
Yeah, I love that art style. I'm actually kinda excited for they're making a cartoon of it. I think it's supposed to be coming out really soon on
Oh,
Netflix.
rad.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Oh, she'll love that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always love that vintage art style. Like, I love vintage Disney. I'm not much of a Disney fan, like, modern, aside from Star Wars, but
Mhm.
old stuff, oh, I love those old cartoons.
Yeah, they're great. Hey, everybody, just jumping in real quick. Just want to say, first of all, thank you for continuing listening. And obviously, you're enjoying it because you've reached the middle of our episode. But before we continue on, we just wanted to remind you all that if you are truly enjoying what you're hearing and you want to learn some more about us, you can find us on social medias, and we have links in our description. And you can find me and all the drawings that I'm doing on Instagram at Kieran, and that's Keuran. What about you, Chris?
You can find me at Sloppy Cube on Instagram. That's Sloppy and Cube at the end of it. I do all retro games or just games in general, so if that's your thing, check me out. You can also message me about ideas and anything because I love talking.
Yep. We both really enjoy talking, obviously, because we are recording a podcast. So
Yeah.
if you want to join in the conversation, please reach out to us on the Discord, and let's get right back into this episode.
Going on. So because I brought it up that I've been talking about too many puzzle games, I think I want to bring up some different styles.
Okay.
Real quick, I think this one we haven't played in a while, but kind of like these zombie games. So Dead Island, Dying Light. Uh
Mhm.
Dead Island was actually kind of fun. It's not these two games are not like split screen co-op. So if you're looking for a split screen, that's not really possible. But if you have like two computers or consoles or stuff like that, you can do it. Uh they're a lot of fun. I At first I didn't care for Dead Island. I thought it was really, really dumb. I don't really care much for zombie things in general, aside from Left 4 Dead. But I played this with my ex, like when it came out, and we were having too much fun, right? Because you're surviving. It was just good dumb fun, just mercilessly killing things together. And then I was playing Dying Light with my wife maybe 2 years ago or so. It was a while ago. That game is fun. It's really
Mm,
different. It's challenging because it's not a survival game per se, but it's an adventure, zombie game. You're creating crafting weapons to make them stronger. You're exploring, I think it's Saudi Arabia, like a town there or a city, and it's just
mhm.
infested. And at night, you get these like super crazy zombies that come out. So if you want to have a hard, fun time, you explore at night because you're gonna get fucking chased, and it's not cool. Like it's
Right.
scary. Uh, so aside from that, it's fun because you can do stupid combos. There's parkour in it, which is kind of fun. It was a good time. Like I said, I usually
Mhm.
stay away from these kind of games with co-op because I don't, I, I feel like they get old after a while. But I really enjoyed
Right.
Dying Light. I thought it was really fun. I mean, it
That's
kind of
something I need to get into more is zombie games.
there's some good ones
I
out there.
I ended up, like, straying away from them for so long, and I think it's mainly because for a long time there, I didn't really have anybody to play games with, and I think
Hmm.
if you for those games, having someone to go through that experience with makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, there's a lot of good zombie games out there. Surprisingly, you just gotta dig through all the muck, but
Yeah, there's a
that's
lot of muck.
yeah, a whole lot. But I mean, not to steal your choice next, but I just
No,
want
go
to
for it.
piggyback off of the survival aspect. I think one of the bigger genres that we've been playing together a lot, maybe the past year, are survival games. And by survival, I mean, Minecraft, Raft, The Forest. Oh my God, there's so many games. Don't Starve, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they're a lot of fun. It's not overly stressful. It's more so like you let your creativity explore, and the exploration is fun. I think it's an amazing genre to play not only by yourself but with others, and
Mhm.
it's fun. Like we spend a lot of time in Raft. We finished the story to it. We're waiting till the next update. Our raft was huge. Like it was fun. And then Don't Starve, like she ended up loving that. Me, I feel like the co-op version lacks a lot of stuff that the single player has. So I
Mhm.
was kind of turned off by it because I felt like once you build up a decent base in it and you get kind of like there's nothing else to do. And I'm a person that if I'm going to play these games, I want to be able to build because I love building. And
You
I'm
want
not
a sense of
here.
end game,
Yeah.
right?
It's like in the end, if I want to build something, I'm probably going to end up going back to The Sims because it's the most customizable thing out there. But that's why I've
Mhm.
been liking Minecraft because with mods and everything, you can go to town. Like we have the Enigmatica 6 mod on our game, and there's a part in there where it's like home decor. And this is actually the thing that sold me, right? So I'm a person that didn't really play much Minecraft for a long time. I played it when it first came out on the 360, maybe for about a month, and then I just stopped.
Mhm.
Started playing in recently, played vanilla for, oh my God, maybe clocked in like 40 hours, 50 hours in the span of like less than a month. And
Wow.
yeah, there was times where like we both were off work and we would just spend 10 hours in one day just like building. Um but anyway, so with this mon, there's a fuck ton of stuff. And we were getting annoyed because of all the different versions and mods, and you have to align them to the version that you want to play on. So we got the Ignimatica, and in it, there's like home decor mods, and one of them is like kitchen stuff. So we were able to build a little kitchen area in our little house, and
Oh,
it's
see,
like,
that's awesome.
yeah, and it's something that's non-vanilla. And this little stove, like you have your little burner, you put your stuff on it, and it goes into the stove, and then your stove is basically like one of the furnaces, like it cooks it, and you can make meals from it. And
Oh, cool.
this mod makes it such a different game to the point where I'm like, this is what I've been wanting. Like something where I can make a cool little house, I can go out and explore, and I can just mess around. And it's weird because for the longest time we both told each other like we don't want to get into Minecraft because it's gonna take up a lot of time from
Right.
other games and stuff. And here we are, like when she gets home from work, if she's not playing it, she's either watching someone on Twitch play it or she's like coming up with ideas what to do in it. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I might as well jump into it, even though I want to play something else. And then we just end up playing for hours. And I don't know, something about it, it's just fun. There's always something I want to build, and the adventures we go on are fun. It's a really weird experience, and I think that modded version wouldn't be for everybody, but if you have a partner or a friend out there who likes games but doesn't really play them, I mean, I think Minecraft might be one of the easiest things to recommend because there's
Right.
nothing to really be worried about. You don't need to have pro skills. Uh, but yeah, ultimately, like we've been loving these kind of games a lot.
Yeah. I think the survival genre is perfect for couple gaming, honestly. It's another one of those. I think puzzle games and survival games are like the go-to co-op couple game genres.
Hmm.
They work so well with each other because it with the puzzle games you have a clear goal, you go through, you're solving things. With the survival ones, you can literally build a second life for you guys,
Yeah.
like in a digital world, which is really exciting. And you can explore these new ideas. You can experiment with things that that you can't in other games, and just figure crap out, which is just really fun. And what I love about Minecraft is the fact that there is like end goals to them. There's
Hmm.
quest books like in Animatica 6. There's boss battles that you could potentially do. There is end game stuff, whereas,
Hmm.
like you mentioned with Don't Starve, I think that's the big issue with it, is you don't get that sense of, like, a full accomplishment.
Yeah.
You just get the sense of status quo, right? I'm
Hmm.
surviving, and that's it. And then something big comes in, tears down your base, and you're like, "Well, fuck this, I'm starting over." Whereas in Minecraft, if something comes in and, like, destroys your base, it's like, "Okay, well, we can rebuild. We got this."
Yeah.
Or, like, maybe you brought it on yourself by spawning a wither in your base on accident, like that like, that
Yeah.
happens. But it's a different but they're both survival games, but they both have such a different vibe to them, and it's great. So,
What about you? You got another one?
yeah. So, the last one that I had on my list that I just think is a fantastic little co-op game in general, and it's another one of those that I can play with my girl, and she actually has fun playing them, and that's the Mario Party games.
Oh yeah.
Like, those are just classic, so everybody should be familiar with Mario Party at this time. It's just one of those games that is so well known, right? But it's a board game that you get to play digitally, and you get to play with all these Nintendo characters that everyone can relate to, at least one of them. Like, their roster is so huge that there's always a character that you can pick and find and connect to. And it's just simple gameplay, simple mechanics, but just really fun. And yeah, I do really enjoy those games, and she's happened to enjoy them. And I think they're a really good experience with just two people or even four people if you have the ability to do that. Like a couple's date night, like that would be a really fun game to play with each other. So it's like two couples, and with the new Mario Party, they even have team battles. So it could be like couple versus couple, just to have a little bit more added, like, competition and fun instilled into it, so
Oh yeah, I forgot about the team battle thing. I played that new Mario Party for like a day with, yeah, I think it was like full like four people, and just I don't know. The new Mario Party is kind of tough to get into,
Yeah.
but if you're able to like play some of the older ones, oh my god, some of the older ones are amazing.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, the older ones are much better, but I do like, I mean, for the non-gamers that are, it might be kind of hard to get into some of those older graphics.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I would say Mario Party, the newest one, that's kind of like a good safe bet. If you're trying to get your significant other that's not much of a gamer to play, that's probably your safer bet.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you have any more for your list?
Yeah, I was gonna go over some retro ones just because I know some people out there shy away from modern games. They rather
Yeah.
stay with some of the older ones, which I totally understand. Uh, so for me, I think beat 'em ups are usually a safe choice. I actually think that was one of the first multiplayer style games that I played growing up. Uh,
Hmm.
Streets of Rage, Turtles in Time. If you want to go more modern, the Scott Pilgrim game. They're fun games that, you know, they're arcade games. So they're gonna appeal to people who play games and people who don't. And that's I think something I love about them because they're so simple. They can be kind of annoyingly hard at times, especially further you progress, the enemies get stronger mechanics, but I think that it's probably one of my favorite like co-op genres just because I don't know, I guess it brings back nostalgia for me. I played a lot of Turtles in Time and Streets of Rage, and it's just they're always fun. I don't know. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of newer titles that take this style. Uh if people out there don't have access to older stuff, but or their older titles are available on the Switch. I know that for sure too. The new Streets of Rage 4, amazing. I think it's one of the better co-op games, especially for last year. I think it's one of my top. And I'm trying to think for other older ones, if you want to go more, I don't want to say difficult, but more of a challenge, Secret of Mana is really good. I played that with one of my older friends, and we had a really good time with it. It's harder just because it's obviously an RPG, but it's cool because you're controlling the main character and they're controlling the other person and
Mm.
you get to select spells and it feels good. I wish there were more RPGs out there that allowed you to play co-op like that. I think that is something that you don't see too often with RPGs. And
It's
if you
an
do
untapped
see it,
market. Yeah.
yeah, if you see it, it's it's not really done in a fun way. It's like, oh, they can pick the attack for the next party member in this turn. Like it's boring. Like it's awful. But with Secret of Mana, it's cool because it's interactive. One last one I want to bring up, and this is actually something I just thought of.
Hmm.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun too. I played it. I haven't beaten it. I'm very close to it. But games like Until Dawn, like interactive fiction kind of
Mm.
games, it's fun. Like I haven't played any of their newer stuff, the Dark Pictures trilogy or anthology,
Hmm.
whatever, like Man of Medine and stuff. But games where you can decide on choices, it's a lot of fun. When I was playing Until Dawn, it's you have to kind of survive, right? All these characters get in the stupid situations where they might die, and if you're not quick enough, they will. And it's just fun, like throwing passing the controller around and deciding, oh god, like, am I gonna fuck this up and they're gonna die? And
Hmm.
it's like an interactive movie. And I've started to realize like these kind of games are actually kind of fun in a co-op sense. Like they're not your standard co-op. Like there's no two controllers at a time. But games like Detroit Become Human, stuff like that, like I don't know, these interactive movie kind of games are actually pretty enjoyable with two people.
Yeah, it's great that you mentioned that because I totally forgot about it. But Detroit Becoming Human was actually the first game that my girlfriend actually beat on her own,
Hmm.
and we played it together. Like I would come from work, and then she'd say like, "Oh, can you boot it up?" and then she'd go through and she wanted to get all the different like endings, all the different possibilities. When one character died, she'd get upset and be like, "No, no, no, we need to make a different choice.
Hmm.
We made the wrong choice." Like she got really into it and it was awesome to see that. And it's funny. Yeah, that's another one of those games that's not like traditionally I wouldn't have geared that towards like a couple experience, but it's a fantastic one to share with someone else to go through those things because it's such an epic story.
Mhm.
Having someone to share that with is such a beautiful thing. So I think that's awesome, and that's I'm really grateful that you brought that up because I totally forgot about that. But that would be one of my top recommendations as a couple experience or a couple game would be Detroit Becoming Human. And it I mean, it even speaks great to our current climate of our world right now. And it's just I don't know, it's one of those games that it's just great. It's one of those fun ones. And non-gamers can definitely get into it because the mechanics are super simple. It's just decision making. It's all moral decisions. So yeah, that's a fun one. Yeah, I'm really grateful that you brought that up.
Yeah, those games they're great because you don't need to it's not like you really have to do much. You just walk to a certain thing, interact, and then boom, you get story. So it's like anybody
Yeah.
can grab them, pick them up, and enjoy it. Like, I think most of those kind of games usually have a pretty good story too. So, I mean, you can't really pick something wrong.
Right.
Uh, but yeah, there's a lot to choose from out there, and
Mhm.
it's a good time.
Yeah. So we talked about a lot of games that we would gear them towards couple games. They're
Mhm.
straight co-op games, right? And some of them aren't really traditionally set up as being a couple's experience. Now, there is one game that just recently came out that I want to touch bases on that is geared for couples. Like, it's obvious that this game was designed for couples in mind to play with each other, and that's Haven.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, the game's not good, in my opinion, and I feel like they took the idea of a couple's experience and kind of force fed it to you, right? Where
Mhm.
it's not you, the couple, going through this, it's you, the couple, living through another person's experience, and I think that was their big mistake with this game.
Hmm.
And, if you're gearing it towards couples, you gotta look at other games that have become couple games. Right?
Yeah.
Like Portal has become a couple game or like a good experience to have with someone else. And the reason being is because of the challenges and it's a good standalone game at the same time. Now, with Haven, it's you're following a actual couple in like this crazy like sci-fi space planet, and then you get to skate around on futuristic hover rollerblades and clear the world of all this like infection and fight monsters and do all this stuff. And at first I was like, "Oh, this seems like a really cool idea." But it's boring. Like it's actually really boring and the big vast world at times feels really empty. And I mean, it is unfortunate to see that because making games for couples is something that I'm actually really interested in, and seeing a future in that would be really cool because as we grow up, we have less and less time to play games, and
Mhm.
I would love to like be able to play these games but still share time and be with my partner. But this is not the way to do it in my opinion. It's good that we're opening up that door and starting to think about games that are specifically tailored for those individuals, but I think this one really does fall flat, which it sucks. I mean, visually it looks cool,
Oh, yeah.
but they just they needed to take a step back from making a couple game and just make a fun game and then create those situations in which couples can come together to problem solve and take care of things.
It's a bummer too, because it's the same studio that made Fury, which is awesome. It's a boss rush kind of indie game, and it's just
Mhm.
killer soundtrack, and it's just a great game. And then looking at this, like for me, when I think about, and this is less of like a relationship, like in a like partner sense. I'm more so looking at like how a connection between two characters have to work together, right?
Mhm.
There's a game called Brothers,
Oh, yeah.
and you basically have to work together as little brothers to advance in this little world. At the time that I played it, I didn't have anyone to play it with. I played it by myself, which actually was interesting because one thumbstick controls one and the other one controls the other.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
it's really fascinating how that works, and actually it was kind of fun. But if you're playing with somebody else, you're gonna have that connection of these two characters really working together, and you see like their journey expand. And I think that is how couple games should be, like
mhm.
that kind of connection. And we've been seeing with some of these games, like how you mentioned with Haven, like you don't see that, and it's a bummer because if there's a closer connection, like it'd be really cool, to be able to mix good gameplay with a very strong story is it's really key.
Mhm. Well, I think that the big problem was that the connection was already established.
Yeah.
So you don't get to build that connection yourself and imprint your own like you into the game. So I think that's where it makes it really hard because we play games for escapism, and for one person to play a game where you're taking the role of somebody else is fine, but when you have to get both people, if you're making a game for two people to play them and you have both characters already so well established, then where is the fun in that, right? Like, where how can you actually put yourself into a game where it's already been scripted in so hard, and getting two people to be excited about that just seems damn near impossible to me. So I don't know. That's tough. It's a tough one, and maybe that's why we don't see a lot of like co-op RPG games too, because the characters need to be so scripted into this game where you're living their life. You're just
Hmm.
making their choices for them, but their personality traits are already built into the character. So maybe that's why it's hard to make an RPG for couples, is
it
because you can't put that in there, or if you can't have such a well-established character while allowing the character put themselves into the game.
Well, another thing too is think about this: if it's gonna be an RPG and you're starting as a blank slate together, they're gonna have to create two separate dialogue trees and moral systems and trying to make a way to connect both of those or disconnect both of those if you're like disagreeing a lot. And it would be a lot of work. I mean, it'd be
Yeah,
cool to see a game that in depth. Like, whoa, I pay money for that. But
right.
I feel like that's a lot of work, and I feel it's not really something I don't say we'll ever see, but not something for a while. But I think if we do see something in depth like that, it'd be a game changer for sure.
It's gonna be one of those games that's in, like, development hell for, like, 10 years because it's just too much.
Yeah.
There's too many variables there. It's hard enough to script something for one and have a really enjoyable experience, but then you have to be able to play off of the other player's decisions as well. That's gosh.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that now, and I'm like, "Oh, my brain, I just can't." One of the big little caveats and something that we kind of came up with on our own is this little phrase, and it's games that are simple enough for non-gamer partners, but still have an edge to them for gamers.
Mhm.
And I think that is a really good rule to live by when thinking about couple games. And I think it's really important for gamer or game developers out there to create games like you normally would. Don't really have it set in stone that this is going to be a couple game, because you're going to start pigeonholing yourself into weird decisions and maybe dumb it down a little too far,
Yeah.
right? Where like games for couples, yeah, they should be able to be simplified to a certain extent, or at least allow the player that is more of a gamer to set the pace for the both of them to go through to really enjoy the experience. And I mean, we've talked about it multiple times, but the most important aspect of a game that I think makes it a good game for couples is the idea of communication. Communication and problem solving are key to any relationship, whether it's with a significant other, a partner, or even just a friend.
Mhm.
So, allowing the player to go through these different situations and come together to find an ultimate solution is essential to making a game not only fun and enjoyable for both parties, but to make it something that we can consider a strong couple game.
Yeah, I think that is really important because, I mean, look at games that try not to have that connection. It's I don't know. I feel like if you don't have the problem solving and stuff like that, it's more so you're just kind of brainlessly playing a game. You're not really working together, and it just kind of feels like,
You might as well be playing by yourself.
yeah,
All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. And I just really want to say, like, lately, the last couple weeks, we've been getting such amazing feedback from the community. And a lot of people are just reaching out to us, not only through GlitchCube, but through our personal channels as well. And it's been fantastic. And it's been wonderful hearing from you guys. And we love it. And we want to hear more from you guys. So, but just thank you so much for reaching out and helping us grow this community.
yeah, it's been awesome. I love everything you guys been saying, and it motivates, I know, not just me, but probably you to like do more, and it's awesome. I truly love it. I This is kind of what I wanted when I first thought of this. Like I wanted to be able to build a community and meet new people and find people that like the same stuff I do, and it's cool.
Yep. That was the ultimate goal. All right. Well, thank you guys again for listening. Once again, uh, yeah. So,
Bye.
bye.